Like it or not, reviews and testimonials are a conversion factor which, as tradespeople and contractors, you guys can't really afford to neglect. We see it over and over again, people getting converted, customers getting converted based off reviews and experiences that they've been able to relate to and I suppose obtain through either Google platforms, through websites, so on and so forth. The obvious standout is, when somebody can jump on, see something that they can relate to from a past or present customer, and they think, oh, you know what, this is great. This is exactly sort of my situation. But then subliminally as well, there's also a lot of data and stats out there which can aid in the conversion process, either directly, like immediately, or down the track. So today we're talking about reviews, and we're talking about, I suppose, a number of different elements in relation to reviews. First off, the ability to build trust and rapport through reviews, the ability to be able to, how to go about obtaining them and the process behind obtaining them and making it part of your process so that you are regularly obtaining them. How you go about using the reviews once you've got them, where they should live, and where you should be posting them. Talk a little bit about strategy, and we talk about how to use reviews to re-engage your existing customers, which is something that we've spoken a lot about on the podcast before. We go a little bit granular into Google Maps and Google My Business. Talk about word of mouth and how that landscape has changed over the years and how it will continue to change. And then we also talk about some of the things around how to navigate negative reviews and how to handle situations that may arise when you find yourself in a position where a customer or maybe a competitor has left you a negative review. So guys, this is a pretty all-encompassing podcast. We really do try to dive in and talk about holistically the landscape of reviews and why it's so important for you guys as contractors and tradies to be out there getting them. Hope you enjoy this podcast, guys. If you want to be part of the conversation or you have any follow-up questions with the gentleman that I've got on the show, by all means head across to the Facebook group. You will be able to find Joe in the group there, and you'll be able to get access to him and to any questions that you might have or any follow-up questions. You can post it in the group there. Anyway, guys, that's enough for me. Enjoy this podcast, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. And while we're on the topic, if you'd love to leave us a review, then please go right ahead. You can head across to Google and you can search the Site Shed and you can leave a review there. We'd very much appreciate that. Of course, you can also leave reviews on any of the podcast platforms that you hear this come through, preferably iTunes. And guys, forward to hearing your feedback on this one, and enjoy. Today's podcast has been proudly brought to you by Tradie Web Guys. Tradie Web Guys work with tradespeople only on their websites and marketing solutions to help them stand out from their competition. Everything from web design through to SEO, search engine marketing, content creation, you name it, guys. It is a customized solution for trade-based organizations, and it's fantastic. Head across to tradiewebguys.com.au/apply, fill in the form, and let's have a conversation.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the Site Shed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
Joe, welcome to the Site Shed podcast.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, mate. How's things?
Excellent. How about you?
Very well, very well. It's a lovely summer morning here on the northern beaches of Sydney. Just been for my morning surf.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, it's snowing here, so.
Where are you based, mate?
Boise, Idaho.
Oh, right on.
USA. Yep.
Okay, there you go. That's definitely in the ski country.
That's right.
So you're from Winning Reviews, and today we are talking just about reviews. I mean, obviously, I run a digital agency. We have a lot of clients that all of our clients are trade business owners, contractors, as you call them. And one of the big things that we like to encourage, largely because as part of an SEO package that we have, we help them with their Google My Business pages and their Google reviews and all this kind of stuff. But of course, the Google reviews help the local listings and the SEO and all that kind of stuff. So it's quite an important thing for them to implement. However, in my experience, one of the big bottlenecks is the fact that it just gets relegated in the list of things to do and they never actually get to it. So I'd like to today, especially one of the things, talk about, how to make that part of their process. So it's not so much, oh yeah, I'll do it when I have time. It's like, and to be completely honest with you as well, I'm terrible at doing this myself. Like I need to practice what I preach. So I'll certainly be implementing a lot more of what we learned today post conversation. But just making it part of the process. It's like many things, we try and get guys to get out there and be proactive with content creation as well. But again, it gets relegated in the list of important things to do, and effectively it never gets done. So I think it's important to make these things part of your routine, and just don't stop using it as an excuse, or stop putting it in the list of things that should be done if I have time, and just get it done.
Right.
So do you want to give us a little bit of a spiel about winning reviews, a bit about your background, a bit about who you primarily work with, your customers, so on and so forth?
Sure. Yeah. So winning reviews, we've been around for 6 years. We're primarily a software company, so we help automate that process of asking for reviews and then making it super easy for the end customer to leave reviews. So both sides of the process are somewhat difficult, asking for the reviews and making sure that you ask appropriately. And then also making it easy for the customer to leave reviews. Not, hey, customer, can you leave me a review? And they go, sure, but then they have to search you on Google and find your Google My Business page and click on reviews. It's too much effort, right? So people put that to the end of the list of things they got to do today. Kids are bothering them. They got to go to work. Leaving you a review may not be high at the top of the list. So we help smooth out that process. As far as my background, I primarily came from engineering. So I worked for big companies before, Microsoft, HP. Then I started my cloud computing company in 2005. And this is kind of a spinoff of that company, obviously cloud software. So, we realized the value of reviews several years ago, and we really started focusing on that. And like you said, Google My Business, Google Maps, trends started to shift away from search and over to maps. People under the age of like 25 hardly even open up their browser. They just go right to maps and search for what they need. So, I think there's a lot of confusion too about what Google My Business is and what Google Maps are, not realizing that, the two are the one and the same as far as, where you're editing your information and, how you operate within the Google platform.
Right. So, you guys are you based in Idaho? Is that where the office, where you operate from?
Yep, absolutely.
And who typically would be your ideal sort of, like, who do you typically work with? What sort of businesses?
Yeah, so 90% of our customers are in the trades.
Yeah.
So, we do have some B2B customers that are like CPAs and bookkeepers, but they tend to come from the relationships with the tradespeople. They're like, can you help my accountant? Most of our business comes from BNI and type of networking. So those type of people that are in those groups, tradespeople, that's really who we're working with.
Interesting. And why do you think that is? Why do you think like the review side of things is so prominent within the trades as opposed to other verticals and industries?
I think it's that trust, having somebody in your house, especially with, home services businesses. When you're talking about inviting a plumber in and, your wife's home and you're at, a business meeting, you want to know that person's trustworthy and isn't going to do, anything bad and break your sink while they're fixing your toilet.
Right.
So 92% of people trust Google reviews as much as word of mouth, referrals. So, we all know, having gone to networking groups and especially in the trades, a plumber comes in, he goes, man, you need a painter. And the painter comes in and goes, you need a window cleaner. And they all refer business to each other, that little power team of referral partners. They know the power of referral. So, maximizing how they're getting that word of mouth out there is key to, surviving or, thriving.
It's interesting, the word of mouth landscape, the transition that it's taken over the years with the introduction of, the digital landscape, things like Facebook networking groups, Facebook community groups. I get a lot of guys saying, "Oh, I advertise on Facebook," and then we go, "Oh, okay, cool. Give us access to your ad account." They're like, "Oh no, we don't have an ad account. We just post things in community groups and stuff." And I'm like, I guess it is advertising, but it's not like what we'd call. I mean, that's kind of like what I would consider digital word of mouth. Like it's
Right.
That's kind of the segue that's taken these days. It's not really like running ads per se, but it's I get people refer me in these groups in these in my local business area and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of them get a lot of work out of it.
Right. Yeah, it's and that's kind of taken to the next step with like Nextdoor. So when you're talking about like Google, and then you have your own Google page, and you have your Google business page, which nobody sees any of the posts you put on there really, unless you promote them. Then you have groups which people are using to get around, the ad space, and then Nextdoor coming into play in individual neighborhoods. There's and every one of those platforms, whether it's social media or somebody's doing a direct search on Google, or they're finding you on Nextdoor, reviews are very important.
Is Nextdoor's a review platform, is it?
Yeah, Nextdoor has what they call recommendations, but they're reviews. Absolutely.
Okay.
Because
Facebook does that now, don't they? They do recommendations instead of reviews.
Right, and even that's disappearing. So Facebook has told us that they're going to make reviews disappear, and they're not going to have them anymore, even recommendations. And we've seen that on, I'd say, probably half of our customers. You can't find reviews or recommendations on their business pages anymore.
I wonder if that's just a way for them to dodge the ongoing headache of people asking them to remove negative reviews.
Yeah. And that's what happens, right? You have everybody, it doesn't matter whether it's here or Australia, there's political polarization happening. So, Bob and Susan get in a fight on Facebook, and Susan goes and hammers Bob's business page with enlists like 50 of her friends to nail him. And then Bob's over here going, I'm not spending money on ads on Facebook anymore.
Gotcha.
And, so Facebook wants to make money.
I mean, it raises a really good point, and I know one of my friends and colleagues here, who's got one of the biggest plumbing, electrical, HVAC companies in Australia, and he says that people will go out of their way to sign up to a review platform to leave a negative review,
right,
and then never go back to it, and then part of their process is to follow up and get do whatever they can to get the negative review removed or remedy the problem. And these people don't even know how to go back in and access their program. I'll tell them, we'll do it. No worries. Give us whatever you're giving us. They take it, and they never go and remove it anyway. So it's, I think it may, I get it as well. Like we had some idiot leave a negative review on the SiteShed podcast saying something along the lines of, I don't recommend the SiteShed because they collect my data and remarket to me. And I'm like, the guy thinks we're Facebook. Like the guy's got no idea. Do you know what I mean? Like just ignorance. So right. I can kind of understand why Facebook want to get rid of that, because it's not really that relevant to the platform, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that, I was on a call with kind of our Facebook regional ads person, and he was saying that by the end of 2020, they're probably not going to have any more reviews or recommendations anywhere, but they're like A/B testing it. So I've already seen that with half of the businesses in the US, and I network all over the United States, through BNI, and I'll get on and check people's Facebook pages and all that kind of stuff, and reviews are missing now. So it should be either rolling out to you guys now, or it's already happening and you may not know it yet.
Okay. Oh, well, I'll probably rejoice when that happens, but
I think we all will.
It does raise a question, though. I know with, let's say, Google reviews, for example, you can't leave a Google review without a Google account,
right? Which
makes it a little bit of a punish when you're trying to send, a customer the link to your direct review page on Google, but they can't leave you one anyway because they haven't got an account. So normally the default is, we'll just send them to our Facebook review page, and they can leave a review there. But then that's going to be shut down as well. So,
right.
I don't know. What's your take on, so in my experience, like getting testimonials is just as valuable as getting reviews. And then sometimes getting testimonials is even better because, you know, you can go down the path of getting a physical video with them, you can get photos, shaking their hand, you can get a written thing that you can put on the website, so on and so forth. And of course, there's plugins and programs that enable you to embed reviews from Google on your website, all this kind of stuff. But I've always questioned the longevity of that. And I've always questioned, you know, and as we're seeing right now, Facebook is an example, like people that have invested all these years in getting Facebook reviews, and then all of a sudden Facebook's going to turn around and go, chop, done, no more, we're not showing these anymore. And you're like, well, I've spent the last 4 or 5 years investing in this. So you don't really own the landscape, you know, whereas if you're actually physically getting a testimonial review from a client, then you kind of own that and they can never take that away. You're in control of it. What's your take on that?
You know, I think it's a combination of the two. I mean, we still need to play within the Google sphere because they're the online directory of choice, right, with Google Maps. So it's a matter of getting those phone calls. Getting testimonials is fantastic, but you got to get people to come to your website. Sure. Well, here in our area, 70% of local website clicks is the website button on Google Maps. Yeah. So, you know, the Google My Business listing where you got that website button, that's where how they're getting to your website. They're not going down into search. They don't trust it as much as they do the website button on your Google Maps listing. So you need to have those reviews to inspire them to click to your website and see those testimonials. And I think that the video testimonials especially is very valuable, but I don't think you can do one without the other, you know, necessarily. So it depends on your customer base, right? If you're a lawyer or a CPA, video testimonials may be all you need. But if you're a plumber, I don't know if you can do without Google reviews.
So aside from Google reviews, like what are the other, I mean, respectful of the fact there's, you know, so many different platforms out there which enable you to leave reviews. Like what are some of the ones that you consider are worth investing in aside from Google?
You know, there's, you know, and I'm not sure if they have the Better Business Bureau in Australia, but they have it here. And I usually work with our customers that if their customer base has a significant percentage of them are 55 and older who don't have Gmail accounts, you know, I try and find them another review platform that fits to either their industry or it fits to that demographic that they're after. Yeah. So, you know, if they're in the wedding space, I'll say Google first, Wedding Wire second, or Google first, the Knot second. So we integrate with all those different, you know, industry specific ones. And then we'll go and, you know, if they go, I prefer this one, we'll go and build integration for them. You know, there's new ones coming out on a fairly regular basis. So Nextdoor's a sneaky one to do as a secondary, where, you know, somebody's like, we'll do Google. Well, especially women who are 55 and older, you know, more and more of them are on Nextdoor, right? Because they want to complain about their neighbor's cat tearing up their flowers. And so, but they'll leave reviews on there. I guarantee it. They do it a lot. So, you know, that's a good second option for them if they maybe Google isn't picking up all the reviews that they want. We'll build a second one. And as you know, with Google Maps, Google My Business, it'll present the other reviews from around the internet down there if their name, address, and phone number is the same. So
I've always like wondered, even with Google My Business, and I mean, Google My Business is an amazing asset, and we optimize platform pages as part of it, our SEO programs and all this kind of stuff, and it gets fantastic results. And I've always questioned the longevity of the real estate that Google gives you with Google My Business, being that effectively anyone can have one. It's not like you need to pay for it. And I know now you can run ads for Google Maps and that kind of stuff, but it seems like a lot of real estate they're giving away for nothing. And knowing Google, I question how long they're going to keep doing that.
You know, I'm not sure how if they're going to continue to do it for free, but they are building in add-on services like Google, you know, Google's recommended business. You know, they've got Google recommended business where they put the little green star next to you. You got to pay to get into that club. Right. So, so they're doing stuff like that, and they know that there's some statistics where if somebody's got a Google Maps listing that's high performing, they're more likely to spend money on ads. So they actually have a campaign, and I noticed this on customers that are getting tons of reviews. Google starts calling them and going, hey, I see you're getting a ton of reviews. You want to get more business from those reviews, pay for ads. You know, so they're asking those customers to leverage those reviews to get more business.
I just really question, like, I don't know what it's like in the States, but I know a lot of Google Ads obviously serves a purpose, and it serves a type of customer, a type of business over another, like it has its place is effectively what I'm saying. Google My Business, I feel like it could pretty much serve anyone. And why wouldn't it? I mean, it's free. I mean, if they were charging a lot for it, then sure, maybe a lot of people would be like, oh, I'm not going to bother with it. But I feel like at the moment, Google My Business is so good because it doesn't cost anything beyond, paying someone to optimize it and whatever, keep on top of it, so on and so forth. But I just wonder where the relationship that makes. Surely at some point, Google is going to just go, well, no one's buying ads off the back of this. Let's just can it and get them all buying ads. I mean, that's what I.
Yeah. So, in my last Google partner call, they were talking about what their goal is, and they want 90% of local business search to be 0 clicks, so they don't leave the Google platform.
Right.
So their goal with Google My Business is to get every local business to have a Google My Business page and make maps into the online directory. And I think they've done a fine job of doing that so far, right? Who goes to Yelp anymore?
No. Yeah. What? Who?
Yeah. Yelp. Really? Yeah. And so, 4 or 5 years ago, I'd go to LA and I need to find a restaurant. I would look on Yelp. Now I don't bother with it, right? So Google has done a fine job of like killing that competition off. And now what do they do with that real estate that they have? It's extremely valuable real estate. So what more can they sell us? I mean, they're already doing websites. So they're going to, get people who are building websites to integrate with, Google, and, it's going to be on and on and on. I think they're going to add more and more to Google My Business and Google Maps. I think that real estate, getting in on it now and getting as many reviews as you can now is extremely valuable, and because you're a step ahead of your competitors who are going to get their Google Maps listing, start getting reviews on it 2 years from now. They're going to be 100 reviews behind you or 200. That's a long hill to climb.
In relation to obtaining reviews, and we may as well start with addressing the elephant in the room, negative reviews. What's your experience and I suppose process around navigating that situation where obviously we don't want negative reviews, but people are inevitably going to do it, albeit customers that have had a bad experience or competitors that just want to try and bring you down. And right. I've got clients in Sydney, clients of mine that's happened to. They've had to employ someone to get those reviews removed, which actually has been done, which was surprising to me. So they've obviously had some good connections there. But what's your experience and what's your process around navigating negative reviews?
Yeah, with negative reviews, if it's obviously a fake review, I always recommend flagging it and reporting it to Google. They've done fairly well recently with taking down those clearly fake reviews. Like you said, somebody creates a Gmail account just to leave that negative review. Google can say, hey, they created a Gmail account on Tuesday at 4:15 they wrote this negative review and they haven't logged back into Gmail again. Not only are we going to remove that review, we're going to disable that Gmail account. So they're getting better at that process, but that's not going to be everybody. Sometimes, you can't make everybody in the world happy, right? So you may have an unhappy customer. Responding to them in a way that's heartfelt, I'm so sorry you had this experience. Please call me as the owner of the company on my cell phone and let's talk it through, or, please call me and let's have a conversation. Oftentimes that conversation with the customer from the business owner. In fact, customer called me on Saturday and said, hey, I got this negative review from a guy, and they're a disaster recovery cleanup place, and the guy's basement flooded. And because he had a burst pipe and, it's winter here, right? So, he went out there, did all this work for him, and the guy was still mad. And so I'm like, hey, just respond to his review and say, I'm so sorry. Anything I can do, call me. I'm willing to come meet you this morning for coffee and talk it through with you. 2 hours later, the review got pulled down. So, but even if he hadn't pulled it down, other people would see that and see that,
he's tried. He's made an attempt.
Yeah, my customer's a real person with a real care for his customers and a real care for his business. And we all know that we can't make everybody happy. So, his 180 5-star reviews and, 20 4-star reviews, he's got one 1-star review. That's not going to stop people from buying from him if he responds in the appropriate way.
I know. And I don't know. I feel like in a way, sometimes those reviews make it a bit more real. Like like everyone bangs on about the 5-star reviews, but I think when you sometimes get like an irrational 1-star that's handled well, that also could serve as quite good social proof.
Right.
I mean, people know there's always going to be dicks out there, right? And some dicks left
Right.
a 1-star review just to be, I gotcha, but it's probably going to backfire on him if it's handled properly.
Right. And let's be honest, those dicks that you're talking about, they leave a review that sounds like some of you slightly deranged anyway. So,
right.
Sometimes I read those 1-star reviews and I'm like, this guy's a nut.
Yeah.
So we all know that, and we all discount those reviews appropriately.
So in terms of, let's talk a little bit about the process of obtaining reviews and making it part of the process as opposed to making it, if I've got time, I'll do it kind of situation.
Sure.
What's your recommendation, framework, approach when it comes to that sort of thing?
I recommend doing it in multiple phases, right? So I always like to, with our software, we do parts of the process, right? So we send emails to the customer, and we also send texts. So 50% of people that we send messages to prefer text. So we want to hit them in both ways, but we don't want to do it at the same time. We don't want to send them an email and a text.
Right.
Usually it's like we'll send them an email, and then several days later we'll send them a text if they ignore the email. We recommend doing that same process if you're going to do it manually. Send them an email. If you're going to send your customer an invoice, which, hopefully people are collecting money from their customers and not sending them invoices, but if they are sending them an invoice, at the bottom of the invoice have, please give us a review and a link directly to your Google, review pop-up window. So you want to have that in there so that people can easily click on that. And, the other thing is having it on your website. Have a review us button on your website. So you hit people everywhere they are, right? So if they're, happy to leave your review, they check their email later. Oh yeah, I'd love to leave Bob a review. Bam, they leave a review for you. If they go, hey, I don't like email, so they ignore all their emails they ever get. They get a text from you a couple days later, or they get an invoice from you at the end of the week when you send invoices out. Having that in your signature block too will remind them. So, usually we recommend those 4 approaches, which is, email, text, an email signature, and then also like a review us button on your website. So you're catching them wherever they might be.
In the past, we've talked about ways to navigate negative reviews and, send the customer email, post job, have you had a good experience with us? If they reply yes, send them a link to your review page. If they reply no, ask them what you can do to improve the service or make them happy, instead of having leave us a review on the website, which kind of, I've always thought, leaves people open to, I hate this guy, how can I get him? Competitors just slamming you, all that kind of stuff. Sure. What's your take on that?
With the emails, you can definitely do it that way. You can do it on the website too, which is, click here to give us some feedback. If they give you feedback that's positive, then you follow up and ask them for a review, which is how our software works. It's primarily a feedback engine first.
Right.
And then, but we always give them the link to Google right there because Google requires that we do. We can't just solicit feedback and then only solicit reviews from people who gave us positive feedback. They require that you give them the option of going to Google. If you're using Google as your review location, you got to give them the Google link right there.
That's interesting, isn't it? So that's basically, if you're on the website and you say, would you like to leave us a review? You have to put the link right there to Google reviews. You can't say if it's a good review. I mean, how does that work if you are using multiple review platforms? Like if you've got Yelp, you've got Google, you've got Facebook, you've got all these different things.
Yeah, so Yelp and Google in particular require that you give them the links.
Right.
We no longer offer Yelp as an option to our customers because Yelp is not been friendly to work with.
MySpace, go on.
Yeah, and they're going away. And our customers, they as soon as they start getting reviews, Yelp does this thing where they call them up and go, pay us $600 and we'll do ads for you. And if you don't, then they take your 5-star reviews off. So, and then they call you up and go, you want those 5-star reviews back? Pay $600.
Scumbags.
So, yeah. And so, I've gotten to the point now where I don't say Yelp. It's like a dirty word because then I get the tirade from the business owner about, Yelp ruining their reputation or causing them headaches.
Anyway, Yelp or not, I suppose what I'm saying is if you've got, that's set up on your website where it's like, would you like to leave us a review? And you've got multiple platforms. Are you legally obliged to link to all of the platforms? Or can you?
I think Google and Yelp are the only two that require that you put that into the feedback page.
Okay.
I don't know of any other ones that's in their requirements to work with them. And I think the reason is they just don't have the power of like Google, where, if Home Advisor said, well, you got to put the link in there. I go, whatever, Home Advisor, I don't care about you. But Google, they could do some serious damage, to a business.
It seems like I can't imagine how they would address that issue if you were sending out an email to a customer and say, hey, did you have a good experience? If they reply no, then you say, how can we fix it? If you reply yes, say, would you mind leaving us a review at Google? I don't know how they'd avoid that situation.
Yeah, I think that it's usually like people reporting them to Google. I actually had a customer call me on the phone. He was like, hey, somebody's told me this rule about Google. I'm like, yeah, we follow the rules. And that guy is like a stickler for the rules of his customer who told him about this. And I think that type of guy would totally, turn in the customer, which, it's not us that gets damaged really by it. It's end customer whose Google My Business listing would be damaged by sending an email like that. And it's usually people doing the emails themselves, or having somebody who does, like email marketing does it for them, and they don't know the Google rules. And then, suddenly they go in and their Google My Business is delisted. So then it's a huge hill to climb to get back into Google's good graces.
I suppose what I'm getting at though is it sounds like there's a lot of gray. Like, it doesn't really sound like there's very much black or white when it comes to this. Like, if I send out an email to a customer, say, have you had a good experience? Like, how can Google then turn around and say, hang on, you can't ask your customer that without posting a link to your Google page?
Right.
Like, why not? I haven't ever asked them for a review. I was just asking if they had a good experience. Like, it's a completely different thing.
Yeah, I think it's just the that follow-up email where you ask them for the Google review if they say, yeah, I love you. So,
right.
We always make sure with our customers that, we stay within the guidelines 100%. And we stay on top of Google's ever-changing landscape of guidelines. So
of course,
they have a call with everybody who has software that integrates with Google My Business. Here in the States, I don't know if they do in Australia, but once a month they get on a call with us. It's an hour-long, basically diatribe by Google telling us what they're going to do to us.
Right.
And so what all their new rules are. So we try and stay on top of those.
Yeah.
And then evolve as they evolve.
So once you've obtained a review from a customer, what is the right way to go about using it? Like, where do you syndicate it? How do you repurpose it? Where do you post it? How do you leverage the review that you've got?
Sure. It depends on our customer's preference, obviously, and how technical they want to get into things. But usually what we recommend at a very minimum is that they always respond to the review within 24 hours, thanking the customer individually, not some canned response, but go on Google and go, thank you so much for the review. You don't know how much this means to me as a local business owner. Reviews make my family survive, and get into a very personal response, and that makes future customers who are coming there, they realize that you have a big heart and you want them, you'll take care of them the same way you took care of the last customer. And the additional step to that is, if you know that person's physical address who wrote you the review, write them a handwritten thank you card. And I know that that's kind of a thing that people don't do anymore. But I'm looking over to my right because I got a big stack of thank you cards over here that I just bought. And I always say, handwrite them a thank you card, put it in the mail, and you don't have to put a gift card in there or anything. Just a handwritten thank you card is enough.
Yeah.
Because statistically, there's besides the fact that you're doing the right thing and you're making the customer feel good, if you write them a handwritten thank you card, they're 70% more likely to refer you business within 30 days of getting that card.
Wow.
So you want to take that, they're already happy with you, it, right? Because you got a 5-star review on Google. Now write them a thank you card, and they're going to refer you to their neighbors and their friends, and they're going to go on next door and tell everybody how great you are.
And so this is for customers, I'm guessing, that you've housed properties you've been to, so you've got their address.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't reply back and say, thanks for the review. What's your address?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, the home services, you know, the tradespeople usually have those physical addresses, which is why it works so perfect. You know, as long as they're maintaining that in some type of database. You know, if they're maybe got a you know, pen and paper type of, you know, keeping track of people, it's a little bit harder because they got to go through all their, you know, receipts from the last month. But you know, if they're using, you know, I don't know if they have House Call Pro or whatever to maintain that information, it goes pretty quick. You know, so every Saturday morning, just, you know, bang out the 10 reviews you got and write thank you cards to each one of them.
Yeah, I bet there'll be a lot of people out there thinking, oh man, I was using Google reviews because it was so pain-free for me and I didn't have to do anything. And now you tell me I got to write actual postcards? God damn it.
Yeah, well, do you want
Thanks,
more business
Joe.
or what?
Thanks,
Yeah.
Joe. Yeah.
It's funny because I do get that response from people and I'm like, hey, you're the one who told me you wanted more business. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I do. I just don't want to do anything.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, well, that's an interesting. And I suppose that ties into a, you know, I've said over the years many times. There's no. People always ask, you know, you've got clients that get really great results with SEO, really great results with Google Ads, and then really great results with running ads in newspapers, and then really great results with doing letterbox drops with fridge magnets. And like I always say to people, there's no right or wrong. You just got to test and see which works best for you. You know, like that's a testament to that as well. You know, maybe try sending out postcards and see if you won't know until you try it, will you?
Marketing is just a constant experiment, right? So
Exactly.
We're trying something and we see what the results are, and then we change a little bit and we see what the results are. The whole thing's a scientific experiment, and it changes business to business and industry to industry. There's no like, you know, I got a magic wand and I go, ding, you know, you got all the business you want your whole life. You know, we have to constantly be evolving and changing. You know, somebody came to me 5 years ago and they're like, I want to get a Google Maps listing and that's the only marketing I'm going to do. I'm like, you're crazy. You know, you knew you'd be doing stuff on Facebook and, you know, Instagram and Twitter, you know, and now people are like, well, I'm paying $1,000 a month for social media marketing with Facebook. I'm like, is this, you know, 2015? You know, what are you doing? So, you know, take that money and do something else with it. So there's, you know, this constant evolving landscape of
exactly right.
You know, how to do things that people need to stay up on, and it's an experimentation thing. You know, we could probably have a conversation 5 years from now, and and I'll be like, reviews are so last, you know, decade.
Yeah. What is this? So, 2020?
Yeah. I have no idea. I don't have a, you know, crystal ball.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing as well. Like,
I exist today.
You know? And I think it's important for guys to appreciate the relationship that these different assets all have, and I call it the digital ecosystem. You know, where you've got, you know, how can one thing affect the other thing, and what's the relationship look like within that little ecosystem that exists there, and how they all tie together. And you know, you look at everything from, you know, the signage on your car, how that connects to your website, and you know how the website connects to your reviews, and all these kind of things. Right? There's a little ecosystem that you really need to consider. In your experience with re-engagement, like we put a lot of emphasis on. Obviously, we get people call us daily. Oh, I need more customers. And you go, okay, cool. How many people have you worked for in the last, you know, 3 years? Oh, I don't know, like 30,000. How often? Like, have you ever spoken to them? No, never. They just do the job and we leave. And it's like, okay, cool. So, like reviews to encourage re-engaging customers. What's your thoughts on that?
So I always recommend re-engaging customers. The nice thing about asking for reviews right after you service the customer, there's your first re-engagement. And sometimes they don't leave you a review. Ask them again in a year. You know, if you have an automated process that waits a year, if they didn't leave you a Google review, ask them a year later. It's interesting. I did this experiment in the plumbing industry where plumbers got, like you said, thousands of customers that he serviced. We asked his previous customers all the way back 2 years for reviews, and his phone was ringing off the hook with customers who hadn't worked with him for 2 years, you know, that are going, yeah, I need my, you know, this and that, my shower, you know, whatever. I need that fixed. And he called me up. You know, this customer, he's a bit of like an older guy. He's a little bit of a curmudgeon, you know, a little grumpy on the phone to me, you know, and he calls me up. He's like, leaves me a voicemail, Joe, I need you to call me right away. I'm like, oh man, what now? You know? And so I called him back, and you know, he's like, hey, I just want to let you know that I really appreciate what you're doing. You know, my phone's ringing off the hook. You know, I'm like, thank God. And then he's like, I got you, didn't I? You know, I do appreciate guys in the trades that have a good sense of humor most of the time. You know, I don't appreciate him giving me a minor heart attack, but you know, he, you know, that re-engagement, have he had a system to email those people and text them on a regular basis, at least remind them that he exists, he would have been getting that business all along instead of all at one point. So, you know, I always recommend staying on top of those customers. Like, you know, it's the rules of sales, right? I want more money. Okay, so you can go get new customers, you can raise your prices, or you can sell the customers you already have. Which one of those three is the easiest?
Exactly.
Sell to the customers you already have. Even better, sell to the ones you already have that are happy with you. So, you know, using those people who give you reviews to ask them for more business, that's the easiest sale ever.
Yeah.
It's like going to your BNI meeting and go, everybody here loves me, right? Send me business.
Yeah.
So,
and so
you don't have to go there.
And so with that, I mean, we've touched on it, I suppose, briefly with, you know, emails and that kind of thing. What's the, like when we're talking about re-engaging with our customers, is there like a framework that you've seen work? I mean, obviously there's like what you'd consider, you know, like a fresh customer, so someone who you've recently done work with, and then there's, like you said before, you know, customers that you haven't spoken to in 2 years, but you're hitting them up. So we'd probably consider them maybe unqualified or less qualified, a little bit, you know, not like when you're looking from a database perspective, they're probably not what you consider a highly qualified lead anymore, being that they're a little bit further down in the past. Is there, in your experience, a right or a wrong way to approach those different type of people? Or do you just shotgun
I don't know
it?
if there's, I'm not sure if there's right or wrong per se. You know, people have a weird perception of time, right? So where if it's been 60 days, they may not know the difference between 60 days in their mind and 180 days since they had you come out and do their plumbing job. So, you know, has it been 2 years since you did plumbing work for them? Sure. Will they remember your name if you send them some information? I bet they would, especially if you did a good job. You know, if you did a bad job, they definitely remember your name. But you know, you want to re-engage with those people in a soft way where you're saying, hey, you know, it's been a couple of years. I would love to, or I wouldn't even say it's been a couple of years. It's been some time since we came out and did some plumbing work for you, and we know that oftentimes people need more plumbing in the future. If you ever need us, please let us know. We're here to help, and just stay in touch with them. I wouldn't even put them on like a 15-day cycle or anything like that. You know, with trade stuff, every 30 days is usually good enough. You know, don't overload people with stuff because they'll just unsubscribe from your whatever. And you know, don't send them some newsletter with a bunch of information about plumbing and the new plastic that's in the pipes now and how safe it is. Nobody cares, and nobody wants to read it. That's a bunch of content that only plumbers care about, right? So
we found a really effective way that we've been able to, we do it ourselves and we do it with our clients, is we use their like projects and their content as a way to re-engage with customers. So like, here's a lovely project that we've just completed, home renovation in blah blah blah, thought you might like to see it. And that, we find that gets really good open rates, because people typically that have come to them looking for a home renovation, they're interested in seeing content or projects that have been completed on home renovations. And it's a really good way, because we, like you say, we find that we went through the path where in the past we used to put, you know, we put blogs on our clients' pages, but then realistically, like, we know the only reason a blog exists on a plumber's webpage is for SEO. Like, no one's going to read it. No one could care any less, you know, like, it's, oh, great, here goes this guy's talking about a hot water heater. Like, who cares, you know? Whereas if it's a project that's completed, it's like, it's a lot more interesting and it resonates a lot more with people. And you can't make it up either.
It's the stories that play. Right?
Exactly.
So, you know, I always recommend doing like some type of engagement that's more like an ask, and then a couple of stories, and then another ask, you know, where you're sending them a story, especially what you're talking, like the remodel space is a perfect one. Or if they're a window company that puts in new windows. Hey, here's a house that we did that had like single pane aluminum windows from the 70s. You know, here's what their power bill looked like. Now we put in these brand new windows that are amazing and beautiful, and their power bill dropped by 20% in the winter. So, you know, what does that mean for you as the customer? They leave it up to the reader to interpret what that means to them. Don't even ask them. does this apply to you? Just go, hey, here's a story. Here's what we did. Look at these pictures. They're awesome. And even better, do video in those, where you've got, I've actually, I take our customers, I'm like, you want people to look at your Google My Business page and actually call you, put a video on there. It's the same type of re-engagement, right? Take that same video and send it to people. Hey, this is us at this remodel that we did. Look at this deck we put on somebody's house.
Yeah.
Even better, have the homeowner there saying how great you are.
Exactly.
So,
And we found as well that it's a really good way to get reviews when you say to your customer, hey, we've just built this beautiful project gallery on our website, which talks about the home we just renovated for you guys. We'd love to, if we could, put a review or a testimonial at the bottom there just to really pull it all together. It's really a good way to, because they read it, they're like, wow, it was amazing, these beautiful photos and all this kind of stuff, and they're really proud of it, so they're happy to put their name to it. So it sort of helps get that feedback from them as well. One thing I did want to ask you, I suppose, before we get close to wrapping up, was a little bit more on the technical side, the relationship between reviews and search engine preference or ranking or positioning. So, somebody who's got 50 reviews, how they compare against, a comparatively similar company that only has, 2 or 3 reviews.
Sure.
Is there like algorithm advantages that push you up the ranks if you've got higher reviews or more reviews?
It definitely helps. It's not the whole picture, right?
Mm.
So if your content on your Google My Business page, your Google Maps listing is completely lacking, you have no pictures, no posts, you've never filled out the whole profile and, put all your services in there and, done the basics of Google Maps and Google My Business, you can have all the reviews you want. It doesn't mean your ranking is going to be at the top. So I've seen it where, a customer of ours will have 400 or 500 reviews and they go, my phone's not ringing. And I'm like, let me look at your Google My Business. Oh my gosh, it's like 50% complete.
Right.
And your photos look like stock photography. Is that true?
Right.
I pulled it off of Google. So, we help them with that. We help them with understanding that reviews aren't everything, but they definitely help. Even SEO, like, website,
Totally.
they have their website linked to their Google My Business and they have 500 reviews and their competitor has 2. It's not going to be the difference between, them getting a crappy GoDaddy website that they built themselves on a weekend and having a nice WordPress website that they had a professional build for them. That's not going to fix problem A and turn it into, they're the number one website. But when you have 2 guys who have similar quality websites and you have, and it's the difference between you being on the first page and second page, reviews can be a difference maker. So we've seen just getting more reviews for a customer, them doing no SEO work, bump their website ranking. Not like they go from page 10 to page 1 or something, but
Yeah.
They'll go from number 11 to number 5.
Yeah.
So we've seen that type of thing.
And so, just I suppose in closing there, I really want to talk about the difference between maps and listings in Google My Business, because I know that's like I know recently they've put the ability to run, or maybe it's still in beta, I'm not sure, but the ability to run ads in Google Maps now. You can, as part of Google Ads platform, which used to be Google AdWords. That whole landscape's changed a lot now with banner ads, remarketing, retargeting, and all these kind of different things that are all sort of thrown into the mix when I talk about Google Ads. But, what's like the difference between Google Maps and Google My Business? What is that fundamentally?
Fundamentally, it's where people are finding your listing, right? So if they're on Google search, they search you by name, they're going to see your Google My Business, information over there to the right. By and large, it's the same, it's the same thing. Work you're doing within your Google My Business is what people are going to see on Google Maps, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in your Google My Business, and here's a sneaky thing, I don't know if they have this in Australia, but they have it here, where in Google My Business, in the app, you can turn on messaging, right? So when you turn on messaging in the app in Google My Business, the app, it turns on the message button on your Google Maps listing. So in Google Maps, suddenly it'll have call and website and whatever directions, but it'll have message there because they're trying to enable, especially with the tradespeople, 40% of people are scared to pick up the phone and call for help, right? So you want to get those people in there, but fundamentally they're the exact same thing, right? Google My Business and your Google My Business listing and your Google Maps listing are the same product at the fundamental level. So, I use the 2 synonymously because people are confused. When I say Google My Business, I would say 20 to 30% of business owners understand what I'm talking about.
Right.
So I say Google Maps. So
Right.
people go, oh, okay, I get that. I get Google Maps.
And there is like that landscape is ever changing. So, I mean, as I was saying before, like not so long ago, they introduced, being able to run ads in Google Maps and that kind of thing. So I think we'll probably start seeing a lot of segue, and that's probably how they're going to further monetize that offering from them.
Right. And what's funny is the people who are typically running ads on Google Maps are the ones with bad reviews, or not very many. They're like, I only have 3 reviews. Let me fix this problem by running ads so that I show up at the top of the list. Well, I hate to tell you, but that's not helping, because your competitor, I'll use the plumber example again. We work with a plumber here. He has several hundred reviews now, and his competitor keeps running ads, but he's only got 8 reviews.
Right.
Guess who gets all the calls?
Right.
It's not the guy running the ads.
Interesting. Well, mate, this has been great. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you'd want to wrap up on?
I think the last thing is you talked about that relationship between reviews and website and where to publish those. I recommend having a widget that pulls your live reviews off of Google and puts them on your website. Some people put them as a list. Some people put them as a carousel, so they're spinning out. But when people come to your website, used to be when I've been in sales and marketing for 20 years, people call me, they're like, can I get a testimonial, or can I, talk to a customer that used to work with you or whatever. Now they're like, they'll go check my reviews. If I have them on my website, they don't have to go search the internet for it. So make sure that those reviews they're either in a list or a carousel, that's spinning, or some type of pop-up even works pretty well. I've seen them, our software has this where we've got widgets for each one of these 3 things, but we have a widget that has a little pop-up that pops live reviews as they're getting them on Google. All those help, close that trust gap where you need the customer to trust you enough to buy from you. Everything you can do with the reviews to close that trust gap is huge.
And do you recommend using, a lot of the softwares, I don't know if yours does it or not, but you can leave everything above a 3-star review on the, you can send that to the website. Is that kind of what yours does? Yeah. Yep. Okay. So
ours does, you can choose, it's got a little drop down, 5, 4,
approve
3,
it.
Whatever. Yeah, I generally recommend that you do 4s and 5s to your website, so that, 4s makes you seem like you're human and you're not, snowing people, especially if they go check you. If they don't see anything less than 5 stars on your website, and then they go on Google and you're at 4.8 stars, they're like, so, make sure that you're putting those 4 stars on.
It's a funny thing. I even only on the weekend, actually, I was down at the, just the local cafe down the road here, and I was chatting to a friend of mine's fiance, and she was saying, "Oh, you had a podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh, what's it called?" And she looked it up. She goes, "Oh, there's like 65-star reviews." And I was like, "Really?" Like, wow, that's really cool. So I guess not that I want 4-star reviews, but I suppose that's the thing as well. Like talking about all the different review platforms, you've got, from my point of view, like there's so many different platforms where people can leave reviews on. It kind of gets bit convoluted and diluted.
Right. But Google is king, right? It's the
True.
thing that everybody searches on, with Google Maps. And, I'll tell this one last story. My neighbor across the street backed into his garage door. I watched him do it. We go to the gym at the same time in the morning, and I watched him, he gets highly distracted and he's filling with the radio or whatever, and he's back in his car, and he's got a very nice, sports car. And he hit the garage door button, I think twice, because it started going up and then it went back down, and he backed right into it. So I went over there. I was laughing, but he was not happy about the situation. But I went over there and his car was fine, but the garage door was toast.
Right.
And so in my B&I group, there's a garage door guy. And so I'm like, hey, I got this garage door guy. He could probably come over here today and fix this problem. It's wintertime, so you don't want that door being busted like that. And he was like, yeah, what's his name? He pulled out his phone, and I'm telling him the name instead of typing it into his, call list or email or whatever to remind himself. He put it into Google and was reading the guy's reviews right in front of me. So, I know the guy. He's my neighbor. We talk all the time. I play this dog, and he still took that next step to check on the guy's reviews before he made the call.
And it's so funny you say that, because I've been saying this on the podcast for years, and people like trying to get them to appreciate that today, even in the word of mouth situation where somebody says, hey, go and call Barry, he's got a great garage door company, people will always do their own research. They'll pull out their phone, they'll look them up on Google, they'll do that. You've got to, like, tying into what I was saying before about the digital ecosystem, like, you've got to make sure that in the situation where somebody that may happen to you, you've got something for them to land on that's reputable and you look professional. Maybe a website, 100% a website. If you haven't got a website, you're kidding yourself. Like, Google reviews, definitely, like anything that can improve that social proof, or make you look professional in that situation, because that is what word of mouth is today, like it or not.
Right. Yeah, it's that social proof is everything.
We have too much leverage with these things in our hands, like everything's available at the push of a button.
Exactly. Yep.
Cool, man. Well, Joe, this has been awesome. Thank you very much for your time. You're from winningreviews.com. Are you in our Facebook community yet?
Not yet.
Okay,
I'll
cool.
jump on there.
So a lot of the conversations and the questions that pop up post podcasts happen in that group. So, guys, if you've got any questions, I'll let Joe into the group so you can be part of the conversation in there. But Joe, thank you very much for your time, man. It's been good.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks, Matt.
And if anyone wants to reach you, I'll have links to all of your websites and stuff in the show notes for sure. So if you guys want to get hold of Joe, you can. But again, it's winningreviews.com. So Joe, thank you for your time, man. It's been awesome.
All right. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Toolbox Talks. If you're liking what you hear, then you can head across to the siteshed.com, where you can join our community by signing up to our Toolbox Talks. You'll get sent a weekly notification, which is basically a highlight of everything that we've spoken about during that week, along with any other industry news that may be relevant or specific to the trades. If you're enjoying the show, you can head across to iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, where you can leave us a review. That would be fantastic, and all the reviews get read out in the show. Likewise, if you have any friends or colleagues that you think would benefit from the show and the episodes that we create, then please go ahead and share it with them.